Good evening. How y'all doing? Thank you all, as always, for tuning in to tonight's live broadcast. Deanna Williams, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. Richard is tuning in. I'm assuming he is tuning in from Louisiana. And we are going to be discussing my home state in tonight's live broadcast. There is Shay Rap Breed. Good evening, good evening. Always a pleasure to see you and my good, faithful friend, Karen Porter. Welcome, as always. I love you big time. Somebody's tuning in from Texas. Is it Lampkin? Good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in. Lisa Robinson, love you big time. There is Bobby's World. Good evening to you. She is tuning in from Denver, Colorado. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Sexy Grandma is in the house again tonight. Karen Martin, good evening to you. Sandy Miller, South Carolina, good evening. J Rock is in the house. Humble about to you. And there she is, my good friend, Spitting Fire. It's also to help keep law and order in the house tonight. So love you big time, Spitting Fire. Hopefully we'll speak after tonight's broadcast. Spitting Fire also says to hit the like button. I'm going to agree with Spitting Fire when she says to hit the like button. We do have a lot of material to cover tonight. However, as always, I don't know if we're going to get to all of it. I'm only allotted an hour. That's why we try to come on at least 4 or 5 minutes before 7 o'clock to try to get the hellos out of the way. And sometimes we go over, So while we don't cover tonight, of course, with Lord willing, we will come back tomorrow night and we'll cover it. I see Nicole Allen is watching us from the great state of Chicago. I think you on the list tonight too. Chicago, yep. Chicago is on the show. Is on the list tonight. Of course, tonight we're discussing the coronavirus. Tonight we're talking about the forgotten, the coronavirus, the forgotten. That's what we're discussing tonight. But before we get started, my baby sister, Courtney, who lives in Tennessee, she called me probably about a couple hours ago. And I didn't know. I know she's married, a gentleman by the name of George. And I did not know until she called today and told me that he loves the show. He is a faithful watcher of the show. He gets the alerts and he never missed the show. So, George, brother, I love you big time. I appreciate your genuine support for this show and the things that we are trying to do to make things better for you, I, and all mankind. So tonight, George, I love you big time, and I humbly bow to you, and I hope and pray that I never, ever disappoint you. Lynn, love you big time for sure. Love you big time. Jay, all of you, I love you. That made my day. She said he came in the other night. I think I was talking about China, and China now has damn near half of the world in ICU. And now they're selling us ventilators and masks again. And I remember, I think I took my glasses off and I said, ain't that a bitch? So she says he comes in the house saying that. Now, ain't that a bitch? He looked in the refrigerator the other night and I guess what he wanted, he didn't see it. He said, ain't that a bitch? So, George, I love you, bro. You made my day. Okay. Neat. I just sent you answered your comment. Nia, thank you so much. She's a faithful support as well. She's been with me from day one. I see Dee Taylor is in the house from Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome to the nice live broadcast. Thank you. Love you big time. My theme for the outside world is help. Again, my theme for the outside world is help. In a little while, I'm going to tell you who said those words. But for now, coronavirus is still with us. This is said to be our worst week ever, according to the United States Surgeon General. He says this is going to be a combination of Pearl Harbor and 9/11 together, and it don't get no worse than that. I do believe that some of the social distancing is starting to pay off, that we can see some results with that. Not a lot, but enough to know that, okay, it's working. It's working. And we all must do our part in distancing ourselves from one another if we care about ourselves and all mankind. Cynthia and I went to Super One today. And as we got out of the vehicle, he was walking across the parking lot, and she said, "Are they telling them when to go in the store?" And I said, "No, why would they be doing that?" And that's exactly what they're doing. And they have a little, there are not a lot of people in the store at one time. And it makes perfect sense, because if you did, naturally, you could not be practicing social distancing, and so many was being let in at a time. So I applaud them for that. And any store that is taking the necessary precautions to help their employees as well as their customers stay safe, healthy, and alive. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think it's a lovely thing that they're doing. But one thing my sister told me today, Lynn, that I wasn't in agreement with, and I don't know if they're talking about it everywhere, but she has heard some talk that some stores are even saying that they don't even want you to come in as a couple, just one at a time, but that shit's not going to fly, because I don't see the logic in that. This is a couple, let them come in and shop and then go on. If you think your business is doing bad now because of the coronavirus, you start telling couples that they can't come in as a couple, then it would drop worse than what it is right now. I think there can be an overkill on the social distancing. That's just me. It's just the way I see it. It's not written in stone, but it is just the way that I see it. But for the most part, people are doing what they are being asked to do to help contain the virus as best that we can. So when we go out, we must glove up, mask up. When you're putting your mask on and your gloves, you're protecting others. Not so much as you. You're protecting others from you, just in case you have something, and be mindful that most people that have the virus don't know that they have it until it's too late. And usually that's about 48 to 50 hours before they die and stuff. So what we're told to do, we must do. We knew it was going to be an interruption in our lives before the virus went wild. And I normally said before the virus came to the United States, but I don't believe that the virus just entered into the United States and it is sweeping, from state to state like it is. It's my opinion. The virus been here a long time ago. The White House knew it. Another report came out today that it was also briefed in November of 2019 about the coronavirus being in the United States. And it chose to do absolutely nothing. When you have someone in office that is considered to be the most powerful person on the planet, other than God, our lives is in this person's hand. We believe what they say. They are to protect this country, not to go against the Constitution. You're not to come before the mics and lie to the people for self-gain. You're not to have briefings saying it's about the coronavirus task force, but in essence, it's about the 2020 election campaign for you. We cannot blame Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike for some shit that we fucking did or some shit that we didn't fucking do. Last week, it was President Obama and his administration. But the colors was bad when we got in there, and it was nothing there. Well, your bitch ass been in there for damn near 37, 38 fucking months, whatever the case may be. Shouldn't they have been stopped by now if that had been the case? You and your people had ample amount of time to stop and overstop. It is your responsibility as the federal government to come to the aid of other governments from state to state. You are a shipping clerk. Yes, you are, Trump. I don't know what the fuck you done been told, but you've been told fucking wrong. I'm sure the how to be a president manual is still on the fucking desk where President Obama left it. Your bitch ass hadn't read it. Because you don't give a fuck about the Constitution. You don't give a fuck about how to be a president manual. You don't give a fuck. You want to be a dictator. It's not going to work in this country. It's not going to work. Anytime you catch them wrong, they didn't do it. They're going to blame everybody. He'll blame his dead ass mammy Mary for some shit before he take the fucking blame to it. That's Trump. This week, I think we're gonna hold some funding back from the World Health Organization because of their response to the coronavirus. I wonder what? You're gonna hold money back from the World Health Organization because of their response? No, bitch. Let's look at it another way. Why don't you leave 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue so the United States can live again? You dropped the ball on this, bitch, not them. They've had their errors. They fucked up in the times before, but you did this here. This is you. You and your goddamn dummies. Y'all fucked it up. Y'all fucked up. Every time somebody gets the virus, every time somebody dies in the United States from complications of the coronavirus, Trump, that's another charge. Homicide. You got to learn to be a fucking man. Man up, bitch, and take responsibility for your fuck ups. For you all that tried to put him in office because he wasn't elected, he was selected. But here's where you fucked up at. You thought because he could run a business, he could run a company, that he could run a country. But there's a tremendous difference. And truth be told, he can't run a fucking business. Go pull it up. He stayed in bankruptcy court more than he stayed in the goddamn office trying to run the motherfucker. Because he sucked at it. If you didn't know who Trump was when you sat in there, you motherfuckers know now. He didn't give a fuck about you, white, black, or whatever. It's all about Trump. And he still continues to come before the mics and the cameras and tell y'all to your motherfucking faces, fuck you and fuck your mammy. I don't give a fuck if that bitch died. I'm not sitting no ventilators. They have enough. As simple as that. Spencer, I love you big time. Thank you, baby. It's simple as that. He don't give a fuck about you. That's the wrong person to be in office, especially now during this dreadful crisis. The wrong person to be in office. Other radio stations and channels are now deciding not to play the White House task force briefings anymore because of misinformation and outright lies. We're not going to do it. We care about the people, the American people, getting the right information. Then why in the fuck would you play Trump? I agree totally with him. We don't share their briefings anymore. I share what the fuck he said, but I won't share his briefings. They're not beneficial to us. Not at all. This is no time for politics. None whatsoever. No time for politics. Incidentally, let me say this before we get off to tonight's news story. Bernie Sanders, probably won't see this video, but just in case you do, somebody you know see it. You did the right thing today. You did. You did the right thing today. You never stood a chance. Bernie Sanders had a lot of plans for this country. You know, the kill the student loan debt, every American have free health care. That's wonderful. But he doesn't have a plan or how to execute those plans. So I mean, it just he's 99 years old. He gets too goddamn hyper. Had he won, he would have died from excitement before he took the oath. Bernie, I love you, respect you. You did the right thing today. You did the right goddamn thing today. Now, Trump, your headache, Joe Biden. And one thing we know, when it comes to policies, when it comes to issues with the United States and foreign affairs, you cannot be in the jungle with Joe Biden because he gonna eat your bitch ass alive. You would do this. This is what you would do. You would try to attack his character. It's called character assassination because you would not be able to stand toe to toe with him when it comes to policies within this country and abroad. That's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do. Your mama fat. What's it got to do with any goddamn thing? He's not a debater. He's not a president. He's an acting president until we get one to walk into the White House. Today, more than 400,000 United States residents are now infected with the coronavirus. Worldwide, over 1 million people are infected with the coronavirus. On Tuesday, earlier today, there were 1,858 deaths reported in just one day. And the peak has yet to come. The United States, watch this, will reach its highest daily numbers of deaths on or around Sunday. J-Rock laughing at 99 years old. On or around Sunday. Today is Wednesday, hump day. When we went out today, and I shared this with Ian, I was impressed with the fruit people that we saw out in Shreveport. They had their masks on, they had the gloves on. Other areas, it was like a deserted town. Nobody was out. Nobody was moving. You see any cars. We went down by the casinos. That's nothing. It's like they've gone out of business. And we hate to see that, but that must be for now. This is 2020, April the 8th. Never throughout my lifetime did I ever imagine a day such as this. We've read about this in school, like in the 30s and the 40s when things happen like this, but not today. I never thought this would happen. I never thought it would be a day to where I'm scared to walk out without a mask or even walking out with a mask and a club. Anything could still go wrong. It's scary. It's scary to think about your loved ones being affected by this virus and dying from it. And as I always tell you, most of those who die from the coronavirus die alone. There's nobody there with them. Nobody. They die alone. We shared a heartbreaking story earlier today on our Injustice page of a mother who was giving an interview to CNN, and she broke down about her 27-year-old daughter who worked at a grocery store and loved to help people, was rushed to the hospital. She died from COVID-19. People every day still risk their lives, not just to pay their bills and to make a living, but to try and make things better and comfortable for others. So whenever you see someone out there working, you should applaud them. You can't give them a handshake, or a high five, but just thank them for the work that they do, especially our medical personnel, our first responders. I don't think we thank them enough. We have to remember them and all that's going on, because without them, you see how bad it is now. Just picture for a few seconds what it would be like without them. And many of them are now dying from this virus. Many of them are not being given the protective gear to protect themselves from an individual who has the coronavirus. And yet some of them still go on. Some of them sleep in their cars because they don't want to go home and take the virus there, because there was no mask, there were no gloves. And they've been told, if you have the virus yourself and you have mild symptoms, still come to work and treat other coronavirus patients. Many are making out living wills. They're getting burial in order. That's how bad it has become in the United States. We were going to speak on the grids tonight, what would happen if our grids were attacked, like the electric and things going out, but we're not going to do that. We were going to go deeper off into the issue of the 5G towers. We're not going to do it tonight, maybe tomorrow night. Tonight, we're going to discuss a couple of issues. One, I believe, is imperative that I go ahead and discuss tonight. Many of you may not like tonight's show. You may get upset with some of the things I'm about to say. You may disagree with what I'm saying. I don't care whether you agree or disagree with me. It's just the way I see it. And the way I see it is not written in stone. It's just the way that I see it. And many people are not speaking on this. And I wonder why. Rarely do we talk about the issue we're going to speak about tonight. But it's an issue that I think all of us need to discuss publicly and when we're in our homes, sitting with one another to discuss the forgotten. And the forgotten are the homeless people and inmates. The forgotten are the homeless people and inmates. I've never said this before publicly, but I'm going to say it tonight. J-Rock says, I saw that. And I'm going to say it tonight. Very few family members knew about this. This is the first time I go public with it, and it was not in the notes for tonight, but it popped in my mind, so I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you. I know what it's like to be homeless. I've been there. I never thought that would happen to me, but I've been there. And quiet as it's kept, you can be homeless and still not live on the street. Somebody missed that. Somebody caught it. You can be homeless and still not live on the street. But I've been homeless. I remember when some things first went bad. And it was extremely cold and raining. And I remember for the first time ever in life, I walked into a place in Shreveport where they fed the homeless. And they were playing Christian music, and everybody in there that was serving and helping was extremely nice to those who were homeless. And that, along with what I was going through, really brought tears to my eyes because somebody was really caring for those who could no longer care for themselves. And that was amazing. That was amazing to me. Somebody, I-Deep, said, I finally caught you live. Well, welcome. I'm glad you finally caught me live. Good evening, Lisa Clinton. And after that, I remember walking downtown, and it was getting late. It was getting dark. And I'm like, I'm still in disbelief that this is going on. But it's going on. What I thought would never happen was happening to Eddie Mae's boy. And I remember lying on the bench in front of the Street Memorial Library. And it was freezing. Okay, my baby sister's watching the live broadcast. She asked what the hell is going on in the background. The office is inside of the house, right? And there's a neighbor, I guess she's having a moment. So anyway, When I laid down, I was shaking. I was in a fetal position. And I remember laying there just crying. And I was so cold. And then I guess, I don't know what time it was, but somebody touched me. It was God. And I looked up and he said, "Here, I brought you a blanket." He said he had passed me several times. And the other homeless person that was on the bench on the other side of me said he did. I was wondering why he kept going back and forwards. And he bought me a blanket. He was Walmart, bought me a blanket and I covered up with it. And along with shivering, tears are everywhere because I'm like, I can't believe shit has gotten this bad. I'm at a maze boy. I'm outside on the bench. But it happened. That to tell you this. I know what it's like to be homeless, and I know what it's like to be in prison because I've been there. That's never been a secret. Your record is public until the day you die. I did 11 flat years in prison, and I know what it's like to not hear from loved ones. I know what it's like to want a cup of coffee, you can't get it. Want a steak, you can't get it. To want this, to want that. It just doesn't happen that way when you're incarcerated because you're up under the umbrella of the state, of the federal government, and you abide by their rules, whether you like them or not. Being in prison or jail is not a Holiday Inn, so you don't expect to be treated that way. If you expect to be treated that way, you will soon be awakened that that's just not the way it happens. You're in prison. Whether you're guilty or innocent, you're in prison. But for the most part, when you're in prison, people treat you like shit. And I'm speaking about the correction officers, medical staff, and other people that work at the facility. They see you as a number. And whatever that DOC number is, that's what they see you as. Many have raised their right hand and said, "I swear I'm innocent." And I'm like, "Fuck." And you might be telling the truth. But when you're in prison, out of sight, out of mind, nobody gives a damn what you're going through. Life on the outside goes on. It's as simple as that. I remember interviewing a politician one time. We were talking about homeless people. He was in Shreveport, and he said something, and it pissed me off. We went back and forth for a minute, and finally I just cut his mic, get him off. He said something that didn't make no earthly damn sense. He said homelessness is a choice. Homelessness is a choice. I don't think nobody in his or her right mind wake up and say, "Hey, today I'm going to be homeless. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be homeless." Contrary to belief, not everyone who is homeless is on drugs or an alcoholic. Well, why in the hell are they homeless? It's simple. LIFE. If you've never been there, pray that you don't. But I don't care who you are or what you're worth, as sure as you live, it could happen. Many of you are a step or two away from the soup line, but you don't know it. So I'm never quick to put anybody down, even if they're on drugs, because I don't know how in the hell they got there in the first place. A lady, one of the live feeds, asked me about the homeless, what was going on with them. Spoke to the people at the Shreveport Boys Rescue Mission, told them some of the things they were doing. Um, they were taking attempts of people that would come in. Um, and they said they was practicing 6 feet social distancing. Um, I asked to come by and they said, yes, we haven't set a date yet. I don't believe that they're doing that, but they may be. Miss Banks says she's late, but she's here. Good evening, Miss Banks. Thank you for being here. But if you're late again, I will put you in timeout. Okay, let's go on with tonight's story. Um, and that they have a place if someone there has the coronavirus that they can isolate them from others for 14 days. That may be true. I haven't been there to see it. I'm just telling you what they told me. And I know how it looks on the inside as well as the outside. So maybe they've done some improvements. I don't know. But once I go, I will let you all know what I found then. Uh, and it's imperative that we speak about the homeless and the inmates tonight, because whether you agree with this next statement or not, it's the truth. And the truth don't change because you don't believe it. They may not be a part of society right now, but they are still a part of this world. The only difference between those that went to prison and some others, some got caught and some didn't. It's simple as that. People are upset because throughout the United States, in jails, parish jails, and prisons, they are starting to release some nonviolent offenders over the coronavirus fear. I'm in agreement with that 1,000,000,000%, not because I've been an inmate, but simply because I know what could happen while you're locked up. You're not going, there's no, if you got insurance on the street, that don't mean shit at jail. You're not going to get the best help. You're not going to get the best medicine. Anything that they can find generic for your ass is what you're going to get. It's as simple as that. And it's not easy, as you would think, to just write out a slip say I need to go to medical. Sometimes they come right on, and sometimes they don't. 3 hots in a cop, they're fine. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's the wrong way to look at it. Somebody on the live feed tonight has a family member, someone they love or know, that's incarcerated right now. And you may not know what's going on with them in the midst of the coronavirus crisis. There was a video recorded in an Alabama state prison. How the inmates recorded it, I don't know. Who gave them the phone? I don't know. The camera? I don't know. But I do know that it went viral. ABC News shared it. I think it was first sent to CNN. And it was a very disturbing video. And when this is over, if you haven't seen it, if you go to our Injustice Investigations News Facebook page, you'll see that video and every story that I'm speaking on tonight on that page. The video gave us an inside look at the prison system. The video also said that there was no hand sanitizer for them. The sink that they showed us was outdated. This part they did not have to show, but the brother did to make a point. When he talked about 6 feet from one another, he got between the bunk beds. And he said, "You can't do 6 feet in. It's impossible to practice social distance inside of a prison. You may not give a fuck about them, but there's somebody that gives a fuck about them. Guilty or innocent. Everybody is somebody's child. Guilty or innocent. Somebody loves them. They did the crime, must do the time." I'm so tired of hearing that shit. I'm so tired of hearing that shit. We have over 2 million people in prison in the United States. And a lot of these are serving a life sentence for a nonviolent crime. I'm going to say it again. A lot of them are serving a life sentence for a nonviolent crime. A lot of them are serving a life sentence and they never killed anyone. So why have they been sentenced to death? Good evening, Miss Brown. Why have they been sentenced to death? I never cared too much for Kim Kardashian West until a few nights ago. Cynthia and I watched the 2 hour special. Latrice, I love you big time. Thank you so much. Um, and she has a genuine concern for all mankind, especially those behind prison walls. She went in and she began to make a difference for people that have been wronged inside of the system. We heard about cases where the evidence was there that they didn't do it, but they and they sentenced them anyway. And she has helped to free a lot of people. Spitting Fire just put up R. Kelly's name. Incidentally, today I saw a piece on him. He has been trying to uh, uh, get released from prison or jail because of coronavirus fears. Again, today he was denied that opportunity at freedom. Let me say this about R. Kelly. R. Kelly has not been found guilty of any damn thing. He doesn't have a felony. Nowhere can you go and find a felony that says Robert Kelly in Chicago. You're not going to find it. He's been accused of something, but he hasn't been convicted. He hasn't been found guilty. And just because you've been accused of something doesn't necessarily always mean you have committed that crime. You have simply been accused. That's it. It's personal why they won't release R. Kelly. And I'm not going to get into that tonight. Spitting Fire will soon. She's got, I think, a 2 hour piece that she's putting together. And if you hadn't subscribed to her channel, I urge you to do so because she's raw and uncut. Nobody is safe when this piece comes out. She attacks everybody from everyday John and Mary to celebrities and politicians and judges. There's no fear in it, so you want to subscribe to her channel on that. I think he should have been let loose. A lot of prisoners have been let loose because of coronavirus fears. The quote I said earlier, my thing for the outside world is help, came from an inmate at the Alabama prison. Was one of the ones that leaked the video, had the video sent out. His exact words were, "It's fisking to be a mass grave site." The video showed inmates who said that the lack of access to adequate hand washing and displayed a level of overcrowding, which means it's impossible to practice social distancing. We need release. We need to release some of these people. We need help. He never said anything about himself. He talked about other inmates. ABC News said they reached out to the Alabama Department of Corrections. They acknowledge that the current conditions mean that they can't enforce social distance. That's an ugly comment, but that's a true comment, which we now know needs to be addressed. This is a wake-up call for the prison system. We pray that this never happens again, but we don't know. But we have to act as if we know for a fact it's going to happen again. So we must begin within the prison system to have buildings set apart just in case something like this occurs again, and you can separate people to help fight social distancing. Because when you are in a crowded facility, a crowded building, as I always say, it's Russian roulette with your life. It's as simple as that. You can't go in your living room and hide. You can't go in your bedroom. You're in prison. God forbid Cattle Correctional Center in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is always overcrowded. Always overcrowded. It should be 2 men in a cell, but there are 3 men in a cell. There are 3 men in a cell. 2 in bunks, 1 on the floor inside of a boat. If you push that button for help, it has to be a medical emergency. Medical emergency or not, here's what I know for a fact. Sometimes you can push that button 20 times. One day we counted. 20 times, they don't do shit. They don't come to see. Depending upon what officer is behind the control panel, here's what they will do. They'll push that button to silence that beep. The light still goes off, but they can't hear the beep. You can be getting your ass beat. They're not coming. I was in the cell last year when I did the 44 days with two guys. One guy smoked some mojo inside the cell. And I was extremely scared because he was in the top bunk. And when he hit it, it wasn't a minute later, he just went like berserk. His eyes was bucked, his mouth open. It's like he was trying to say something, but he couldn't. And his hands were somewhat like this. And he just kicked his feet out and he had a death look. And so we're pushing the button because I'm scared he's going to fucking die. And we're going to be charged with his death. We're pushing that button and we're screaming at the other inmates, we need help, we need help. Something's wrong with him. His tongue is turning gray. Finally, they come and they get him out. But it took him probably over 10 minutes to get there. Now, if you're in the cell with somebody and they have the coronavirus and don't know it, you see my point. You cannot practice social distance in prison. We know we cannot open the doors and say all inmates be released. But I'm in agreement with a lot of inmates throughout the United States. You need to let them out. When it gets to a point, somebody's going to agree to this. When it gets to a point, when prisons, when the Department of Corrections, whatever state it may be, begin to release inmates because of a virus such as this, there's more to the virus that they're telling us. Because they don't give a damn if they die. But this thing it's something we don't know about. When prison officials and governors agree, let them out, let them out, let them out, let them out. So they started letting non-violent offenders out. That's the first thing they said. But a report came out today. A judge in New York City was scheduled to rule, I don't know if he did or not, earlier today, it came out at 11 a.m., on whether or not to let 18 violent offenders go because of the coronavirus fears. 9 of the 18 have been accused of a homicide. So we can't let them out, right? They're bad. Well, what about the bastard that's living next door to your ass who's a serial fucking killer, but you don't know it? What about him? Just because someone commits a violent crime does not necessarily always mean that's a violent individual. We got to look at the circumstances surrounding the case. And there are some people, no, we shouldn't let them out. They should stay until Jesus comes. I agree with that. But we can't just sit here and play with someone's life and say, well, let's look at non-violent offenders. This thing did not come with an expiration date as to when it would leave us alone. It didn't. They're not a part of society, but they are still a part of this world. Alabama Department of Correction also said that we are working to do everything in our power to help stop the spread of the virus in our facilities. Not to mention, a lot of the prisons and jails in Alabama are overcrowded. One of them, I think they said over 300 people too many, something to the extent. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to pull it back up. But they were all overcrowded. They were all overcrowded. We cannot just look at elderly people that have underlying issues that would make them more prone to the virus than a healthy person. Yes, we should look at their crimes. We should look at what they've been doing in prison. But even if they've been fucking up in prison and the crime is not that bad or whatever, what do? We just let them stay there, right? We just let deputies take hand sanitizers, correctional officers take hand sanitizers for themselves and say, fuck the inmates. Do you know the brother that said it is going to be a mass grave site? He's on the money. And he's asking you, he's asking me. He said, we need help. We need help. Somebody's child is locked up now and will be infected with this virus and will die from this virus. While the Department of Correction and judges sit and move extremely slow because they don't give a fuck about you when you locked up. We speak about society every fucking day when it comes to the coronavirus, and I understand that, and I do. But we have to also start focusing on those that are behind prison walls. We must. They're still people, like it or not, regardless to what they have been accused of. They're still people. This is going to be a very devastating week when it comes to the coronavirus. More than 400,000 people in the United States have now been infected with the coronavirus. It hasn't got as bad as it is going to get. In Chicago, a report came out today about the jail system. It says Chicago's Cook County Jail is the largest known source of coronavirus infections in the United States. At least 353 COVID-19 cases can be traced back to the jail. 5,000 inmates the facility holds, 5,000. And most of those have not, and most of those have not, and most of those have not been tested. Today, 238 inmates and 115 staff members test positive for the coronavirus. The state of Louisiana. The state of Louisiana still leads the nation in the number of the residents that they incarcerate. And they are right now doing absolutely positively nothing. Or I'm wrong. They are doing something. They're setting up tents for those who are infected with the virus to go and put them over there. Simply put, they are creating a death camp. A death camp. Why can't we just let them go? It's simple. In this country, we care more about convictions than justice. You would never hear me say, unless it's by accident, the criminal justice system. I stopped saying that a few months ago. It's called, in my mind, the criminal system, because there's so many injustices in it. I dare call it the criminal justice system. On one end, they want to practice justice, and with that same stick, on the other end, they're practicing injustice. The criminal justice system, the criminal system commits more felonies 365 days a year than any damn convict you can come in contact with. And you can quote me on that. Brenda B, if you go to, I don't know if Spitting Fire has information on PayPal, but PayPal is going to be paypal.me/injustice got you. Again, it's paypal.me/injustice got you. Or for those who would like to cash out for a donation, we thank you kindly. It is $ Eddie Mays. Boy. Thank you so much. Now, let's talk about blacks and the coronavirus and masks. There are a lot of black people, especially men, who have decided that they would not wear a mask in public, even though the Centers for Disease Control recommends every American do so. Every American do so. Don't forget, this has been labeled a pandemic. So why are so many blacks in this country saying they're not going to wear the mask? Well, it's simple. It's simple. It's ironic because I was going in the store a few days ago with Cynthia and I said something to Cynthia about, now somebody is going to go in a store and try to rob with the mask on. And I think that did happen. I'm not sure much to look it up, but it did happen. And some stores are going to say they don't want you to come in with the mask because of that. That's going to be another issue. But that's not why a lot of blacks have decided not to wear it. They have decided not to wear it because, once again, we're going to stereotype them. And every time they see a black person with this, I thought he was trying to rob me. I thought I didn't know what to do. I thought he had a gun. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to knock our ass off. In trying to save our lives, we're probably going to lose our lives with a trigger-happy cop or someone in a store just been waiting to pump a bullet in a black man's ass. It's not hard to believe, but it's scary because it's reality. Regardless to what the fuck go on in this country, somewhere in the midst of it, black men become targets. So we don't wear the mask because we're scared of being racially profiled. So what happens then? Well, you play Russian roulette with your life. Okay, well, someone says PBs or whatever. I'm told the mask is unnecessary anyway. Let me say this to you right quick. Here's where the problem go in. I don't know if you're black or white. But here's where the problem is for a lot of black people. We don't do our homework. We believe whatever the fuck somebody come before the cameras and say, well, the Centers for Disease Control said it's not necessary to wear it, but yeah, go ahead and wear it. But now they say, yeah, go ahead and wear it, but look, don't get the medical mask, just get such or make your own. You have to pay attention to what a person is saying, not saying, opposed to what they're really saying. I don't give a damn if Dr. Fauci comes out and says, well, it's not going to do any good anyway. Well, if it's not going to do any goddamn good, why medical staff been wearing the shit since the beginning of the goddamn time? These folks will bamboozle your ass. Tell you what the fuck they want you to believe in hopes of you believing, and you're not protecting yourself. Here's what's worse than the coronavirus and what we know about it. It's what we don't know about the fucking virus that's worse. I'm going to tell you now. I'm not a medical expert, but I don't have to be. Common fucking goddamn sense. Wear your mask, people. Wear your mask, people. Don't listen to them. I don't give a damn who said it. I don't give a fuck who said it. If your mama come and say, don't wear it, fuck that. Wear the fucking mask. As simple as that. They're trying in their own way to ease the panic level down some. The same way, if you call, don't come to the hospital, that's fine. If I cough, sneeze, I'm on the fucking way. All I can tell you, open your goddamn door. I know you don't want to overflow in hospitals. I understand that. That's not my problem. You need to talk to Trump and his people. They knew about this shit, and this shit could have been handled another way, which simply means that it wouldn't be as bad as it is today had they galloped off their motherfucking white, pink ass and done the right goddamn thing for the American people. But they don't give a fuck. They giving you sugar-coated shit cookies. They put the people before the cameras that's going to go all day without it. Well, bitch, that's you. You do you and let me do me. I'm going to mask up. I'm going to glove up. It's as simple as that. I'm going to say it until the day I die. Black people, more than any other race on the fucking planet. Believe the media. Out of all the races put together, blacks believe the media, local and globally, more than any other race. You've been bamboozled, and they continue to bamboozle your ass. The white man come before there, oh, let's not do this. I've been doing this for 50 years. Master's not necessary. Why in the fuck are the doctors and medical staff begging for them? Why? Why are some of them quit? Why? If you have a mind, use it. Use it. Scorpio says, yes, please wear it. It's as simple as that. This is a matter of life and death. What you need to think about, not what the fuck they saying. Think about the shit that they're not telling you that they know about. That's why so many prisoners are being released. Do you think they want to let one person go? No. So that tells you right there, it's something else going on that we don't know about. It's simple as that. Stop believing every damn thing the white man tells you, or the house nigga that they put before the mic to come in and sell you a goddamn dream. The state of Illinois has had yesterday the largest single day jump since the virus began. And multiple states are now, again, releasing prisoners. We can't just focus on the low-risk inmates. We cannot. Everybody has done something wrong. A lot of us have committed crimes, whether we have gotten caught with it or not. Everybody's got a secret that they don't want the next person to know about. Just as well as we try to help home-based society, we have to remember inmates are still a part of this world. Like it or not. Like it or not. Live your holy life and say they don't matter. They shouldn't have did it. How do you know they did? And even if they did it, you need to find out why. Every situation is different. You cannot tell me just because there's violent offenders in prison. Well, let's not look at him. Let's just look at the non-violent inmates. Well, the non-violent inmates may have been violent a time or two in life. You just didn't catch it. So we just sit the violence. Y'all stay back. Die. That's not the way to look at it. Now, lastly, before we get out of here, that church in Louisiana and that pastor, the next time him and his dumbass members go into the building of sacrifice is what it is. The building of sacrifice, disobeying the governor's order to stay at home, to not congregate with more than 10 people. The next time him and his dummies walk their ass up in there, if I had the power, I would put a chain around that motherfucking church, and them bitches would stay in there for 365 fucking days of the year. He said today, Christians are willing to die. Well, they bitch ass, stupid ass gonna die. Faith and foolishness is not related, people. But he don't give a damn about souls. It's evident what he's doing and what he's not doing. He's a pimp. Some of them went from pimping on the streets to pimping in the pool pit. God forbid I miss one goddamn dollar. I've never known a pimp to take a fucking day off. Pimps don't do that. Now, they can hold church on the internet, right? Yeah, they can. But they wouldn't get the money that they would get if they were face-to-face with people. And they can really feel the emotions. And they can start playing that sad music and stuff. Like, you can't be God's given, no matter how you try. That shit like that. Put you in that emotional state to give. And just as soon as you walk out of the church, your emotions change. The church has become a business. This pastor is not teaching the theology of Jesus. He is teaching the theology of his goddamn self. And all them fucking dummies go with him, lock their ass up too. It's as simple as that. This is serious. You cannot test God. You cannot test if you know the Bible. He tells you, don't test me. It's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing to test God. and you love mankind as you love yourself, but yet you go out infecting them and putting them in harm's way. There's a difference between knowing God and just knowing of God. Try studying your Bible sometimes instead of just reading your Bible sometimes. And make sure you develop an intimate relationship with God, not the man behind the pulpit or the woman behind the pulpit, because everybody, not everyone that says they was called by God was truly called by God. They called him themselves and stood up there. Christians and pastors, whatever the fuck y'all are, you're not exempt from the coronavirus. You're not exempt from the coronavirus. Holding a Bible in your hand would not stop coronavirus from busting a hole in your goddamn chest. It's just that simple. But you're making it bad for other people when you are supposed to be following the commandments of God, but you said, fuck what man said, do what the fuck you want to do. Pull God out of that. Pull God out of it. Let me see you pull God out of that. You can't, because God's not in that foolishness. You can't create that foolishness and then try to invite God into that mess. Oh, by stripes I'm healed. Oh, I love you, God. No weapon formed against me shall prosper in the name of Jesus. Oh, something like that. It might seem comical to you, but I'm so fucking serious. That's not a man of God. That's not a man of God. And a lot of the mega churches, pastors, such as itself, haven't done a goddamn thing, money-wise, to help a lot of people in the United States. God forbid they do that shit. They're not into that. They're into helping themselves. I love y'all. Be the Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We will be back hopefully tomorrow night. George, again, my brother-in-law, I love you big time. Thanks for watching the show, brother. All of you tuned in to tonight's show. As always, I thank you for your genuine support of this show. If you cannot support the channel financially, please share the video. I'm Al Scott with Injustice Investigations. Be the Lord willing, we will see you all tomorrow night. Spitting Fire, thank you for keeping law and order tonight. Love you big time. Y'all have a good night. Okay, honey, I'm through.
Boy, one day you're going to be rich.